Hello everybody and welcome back to Apaya Puzzles. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the DA from last week. This was a themed cryptic in the Age of Sydney Morning Herald, and David had tweeted out in advance that this was quote unquote gnarly curly and in his way instilling fear in the masses. I have to say, in the wash-up I found this an eminently solvable puzzle. I was really pleased with how it turned out, and especially both for a DA and a themer. I thought this was one of the best puzzles I've solved in recent times, so I thought I'd give a quick little review of some of the opening plays and then some of the better clues in the grid. So when I opened this up on Friday morning, I noticed the preamble there, which references this X, which appears in the clues. And off the bat, I thought, this is nice. Often with our themed cryptics, the preamble will tell us that something weird is happening, but it doesn't tell us where, when, how, or who. This one at least gives us a very clear indication about which clues are affected by the theme. So we can set about trying to solve some of the others if we can't get that 23 across, that anchor clue early in the piece. I thought this was beautifully clued. From a difficulty point of view, I think there's a few things at play. Being a themer and with so many clues depending on that 23 across, David aimed to ensure that 23 across would be gettable, albeit challenging as a cold solve. And so in order to kind of facilitate that, the other thing about 23 across, apart from the cluing being fairly... it's not overly complicated in the end, but on first glance it's not that obvious what's happening. The definition element, I don't know if David was conscious of this, but personally I never had heard of this term, so I imagine that some people might be like me, and so cold solving from the definition was never going to be a possibility. So I think to kind of aid the opening here, David did us a favor with these green clues in 21, 16 and 19 down. Which are all very gettable and give us 3 of the crossing letters and some pretty crucial ones as well. So I'm going to go through that, and the top corner here plays into that as well. And then these red clues are what I thought were the standout clues in the rest of the grid. So I started with 19 down as it happens, and we've got wordy US speaker maybe needs rev up. Now, of course, all DA clues have some level of difficulty involved relative to other crosswords. But if we look at the structure of this clue, we've got the word up at the end, which is a very likely indicator, which then automatically gets us thinking that the word wordy at the beginning would be the definition. So we've already got a start on it. And now we're looking for a synonym potentially of wordy, which you could cold solve without the wordplay, because there's not that many words that mean wordy, as it happens. And so this one, I think I solved based on the rev and then the definition. So rev up suggested to me there might be a VER somewhere, and possibly at the beginning there. And this led me directly onto verbose, which means wordy. The speaker brand Bose is what we're referring here in the clue. I'm not sure what the reference to US is, whether US speaker is like it's a US company. Or whether there's something to do with pronunciation of Bose being different in Australian English and American English, or indeed verbose, verbose. Maybe that's it. Maybe we say verbose and the Americans say verbose. I'm not sure. But that is what's happening there. So we have a nice start, and we have a B as the second word on 23 across. So already that's limiting things quite a lot. 21 down is dead easy, but I got confused with it because it is an and lit kind of. All of the words are part of the wordplay. The first word is also the definition. So when I came to passing it, I had the right idea, but it didn't click within a few seconds, so I thought I'll come back. 16 down, another straightforward one. Now and then, obvious indicator for every second letter. Spend, every second letter there is SED, and up, going backwards for DES. And then Old City is Troy as a classic play in cryptics with an S as well, for ruins, meaning destroy. So again, a straightforward synonym. So you could solve that even without the wordplay, without too much difficulty. Now I'll flick up to here because I actually did. I tentatively solved 2 and 10, even though they were themed clues. So 2 down is X of snot repelled turn out, and I thought this is quite likely to be this word here, mucus being repelled, and then a turn being taken out, a U-turn being removed to give scum. And I didn't know what this would have to do with the theme at this stage. It seemed like a strange word to be themed, and I was fairly confident that was correct on the basis that 10 across, I knew the author of The Wizard of Oz to be Baum, or Baum. And then it would follow that A was inside of a word for this X, so the word would be bum. So I had scum and bum as my potential themes and had no idea where that was going. Although if I thought about it for half a second, I might have put something together, especially with this B here. But there was the fact that they rhymed. There was the fact that they're both kind of pejorative words. But anyway, I eventually kind of came back around to 21 down and realized what was happening. This is, as you may have deduced, rhythm. Just every second letter of those words there, groove, etc. And groove means rhythm as well. And the whole expression is a reference to groove. And so that's what kind of caught me out when I was trying to process it the first time. But crucially, this gives us the Y in this position here. And now we've got a 7-letter word with a Y and an R, and there can't be too many of these. And the obvious one is mystery. And then you've got the rest here. Now, as I said, I'd never heard this expression before, so it didn't immediately fall out for me. The way I actually got this was realizing that wow was probably my. And then I thought, okay, the rest of this clue is going to be an anagram of grapes by, which are being cooked. And realized that mystery would fit, and then the only letters left would be this for mystery bag, which is an expression for a sausage, referenced in the clue as Oz sausage, suggesting an Australianism. I did Google this afterwards to discover that this is referenced in British literature as well. But anyway, there's one that I learned from this crossword. We learn a lot of words when solving cryptics, and had I not had any of these themed answers in, I may have still been wondering, okay, what does that mean exactly in terms of applying it to the X's? But this made it clear. We've got a type of bag, scum, a type of bag, bum, and away we go with lots of types of bags in the puzzle. So yeah, I think this was really fairly clued from David to get this 23 kind of solvable early in the piece. A lot of the other non-themed answers weren't too difficult either, so I had a number of answers dotted around as well before I started tackling most of the themed answers. Of course, scum and baum were confirmed by the mystery bag idea. So getting to some of the better clues, 9 across, shot of soda X sickens fine server. I like this for a slightly quirky reason. I mean, fine server is a nice misdirecting or oblique definition. Our answer here is the Great Agassiz. And this is interesting because it's a hidden clue. And normally hidden's this kind of strange beast where they're straightforward in the sense that the word is written in the middle of the clue there. But you have to notice that that's what's going on. So sometimes they can actually be stumpers. And this one complicated by the fact that the part of the included, part of the hidden term is this X, which needs to be replaced by a type of bag. So a kind of hidden. I think they're also called telescopic, and this kind of seems to have a definite telescopic sense about it. So if we put the word gas for gas bag as the X, we get this soda gas sickens, which contains letter for letter Agassiz. So a nice little one there. 6 down I liked as a kind of aptogram and an appropriate anagram, and a really cool word, this one. I saw someone on Twitter who got stumped on this. It's not an everyday word. I was lucky enough to have come across this in my travels at one point. Criminal can't poop in all-seeing prison. So criminal is acting as an anagram indicator, and can't poop in is our anagram fodder. If we rearrange that, we get this panopticon. Great word. From what I remember, it's a kind of famous, I don't know if it was ever implemented, but it was a proposed kind of experiment, I guess, in prison design, or maybe just in torture. Oh, hang on, that's my phone. 1 second. Apologies there, phone call. But we were on Panopticon, and yeah, this experimental prison design wherein all of the prisoners could see each other all of the time. I think either that was intended as a kind of self-regulating system, or maybe it was just intended as an instrument of torture. And obviously the surface reading of that clue is nice in that it kind of very accurately describes what that situation would be like. So 17 across, we had X kept close or close to better semi-occupant. I like this just on the definition element, semi-occupant. You get a bit of a sense with DA sometimes. You see a word like that and go, that is definitely some sort of misdirected definition. Misdirected is not the right word, I guess. Oblique or figurative. So the closing letter of better is R, and a type of bag is tucker, and this gives us tucker with the R inside of it for trucker, who is the occupant of a semi-trailer. So beautiful clue. And 12 across, I reckon probably my favorite. It seems to have everything, this one. It's a themed answer. It has one of these oblique definitions, and it has a annoying little bite-sized piece of wordplay that's very easily missed. So it may help Congress by Biden's lead lapsing in X. And my initial thought with this was that Congress was almost definitely being used with a different meaning to what we normally understand it. So it may help Congress seemed to me to be the definition. And I had thought that Congress may be a collective noun for some sort of animal, so maybe we were looking at that. Turns out we're looking at something different. I had solved the 3 down by this stage. I'm not sure if I had any other letters. I think that was cinema, and I can tell you it was definitely cinema. And then 12 across with the A on the end made for an interesting word. When you get a vowel at the end, it's often useful, or it can also be a pointer to the fact that this is going to be some sort of flower or river or historical figure, and therefore could be actually more difficult if you don't happen to know it. But Biden's lead is obviously the lead letter of Biden for B, which is lapsing from or being taken out of a type of bag. The bag in question is a grab bag. And this kind of writes itself now. There's not too many words that you could fit here. And via and gra for Viagra, which indeed help Congress, a collective noun of sorts. The via is the tricky bit. So the word by in this clue is indicating via. And it's one of those little joiner words that could so easily be elided over. So often a clue will include words like that just for grammatical structure. Or simply to kind of indicate not so much wordplay, but just connection between two parts of the clue. So definition, small word, rest of the clue. So something is something, and so the is just a joiner, but also is a pointer in some sense, or part of the wordplay. So 2 parts of wordplay that are next to each other, maybe by each other, and so it means nothing more than that. In this case, we actually need a synonym for that by to get us that final answer of Viagra. And of course, the other thing about that clue is it's just it's a cheeky one, which we always appreciate, or I do. So there we go. They were the standout clues for me. Generally speaking, I found this an excellent puzzle. Definitely very solvable as DA, and there were no major holdups as far as I can remember. It was a fairly smooth solve, and it was great to be able to get that 23 across fairly early in the piece as well. I think I had about 7 or 8 answers before I came back and actually solved that, and then got on with the rest of the cluing. So yeah, thank you again to David for a great puzzle. I think this is, as I might have said, one of my favorites in recent times, and great to be able to complete a DA. One thing about DAs as well is I'll usually get close to finishing, but not always finish. There'll be 1 or 2 words I just can't figure out, or I don't know the word. So for a thema to be completely completable, I suppose Panopticon might have been a difficult one had I not known the word, and being that it was an anagram once I had most of the ledge in place, probably it would have unfolded. There wouldn't have been too many ways. If you really didn't know, you might have thought you're likely to get the Opticon, I think, or maybe you think Optican. So, yeah. Anyway, it's not important. But yeah, thanks again to David for a beautiful puzzle, and thank you to you for watching. Appreciate the audience, and I hope this was an enjoyable little walkthrough. Of course, why stay clueless when you could subscribe for more, and follow on Twitter. There's a few bits and pieces coming up. I've been off this last week, sick and other things, but hopefully back on board with pretty regular content moving forward. So thanks again, and I'll catch you all soon.